A 26-year-old man from Nebraska has been arrested on sex crime charges after posing as a high school student at two different schools. The man, Zachary Scheich, faces 3 felony charges, and his victims were as young as even 13 years old. But how did this happen? How was this man able to enter 2 schools in this district? And how did it take so long for him to be found out? Well, the full investigation began after authorities were alerted of somebody being enrolled in the school that should not have been. Somebody who was impersonating a student. Zach enrolled under the name Zach with a K. Very smart on that one, weren't we? And he managed to blend in with other students because this man is 5'4" and 120 pounds. The tiny man just looked like a normal high schooler at that point. Administrators in the school district have said this individual provided a birth certificate, a high school transcript, immunization records, and a physical from a clinic. As it turns out, all of these were fraudulent. And with even further investigation, the documents were never even verified in the first place. The officials said, yeah, we just take students' words for it. So that's how he got in. He literally just photoshopped some records together. I don't know if he actually used Photoshop. And said, yeah, dude, take my word for it. And they did.
This student completed the enrollment process online, submitted the documents online.
The schools actually took his word for it. And to me, I'm just wondering, who played the parent in this situation, right? There's no way they just let him go in without ever actually having met anything.
Their parent was not directly involved in the enrollment process.
Which is insane. It's insane to me how he got away with this for so long. Almost got away with it too if it wasn't for the fact that some of the students actually spoke up about it and said how some of the things he was trying to do was weird. He tried meeting up with a 13-year-old for sex, and he paid other teenagers for illicit photos. Fortunately, he is arrested, and the police have gotten enough to convict him. Now, we are waiting for the other hearings to take place, but the first hearing did take place, and I'll play some clips for you guys right now so you can get a bit of a gist of what's been going on.
Mr. Scheich, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, we have a matter found at CR 237969. The state has filed a 3-count felony complaint against you, Mr. Turner.
Mr. Scheich, you are charged in the complaint in count 1 with sex trafficking of a minor. That is a class 1B felony, carries with it a minimum 20 years, up to life imprisonment. It would also require you to comply with the Sex Offender Registration Act. The state alleges you committed that offense on, about, or between October 1st of 2022 and July 20th of 2023. The alleged victim being count 2, you're charged with child enticement with an electronic communication device. That is a class 1D felony, carries a mandatory minimum 3 years, up to 50 years of imprisonment. It would also require registration under the Sex Offender Registration Act. The state alleges you committed that offense on, about, or between October 1st of 2022 and July 20th of 2023. The alleged victim being count 3, you're charged with child enticement with an electronic communication device, also a class 1D felony that has a mandatory minimum 3 years, up to 50 years of potential imprisonment. It would also require registration under the Sex Offender Registration Act. In count 3, the state alleges you committed that offense on, about, or between October 1st of 2022 and July 20th of 2023, the alleged victim being. Sir, do you understand those 3 charges and their potential punishments?
Mr. Scheich, are you able to hire an attorney to represent you?
I'm not, no.
Are you currently employed?
Not currently, no.
All right, I'm going to find you qualify for the appointment of the public defender. I will appoint the attorneys in that office to represent you in this matter. We're going to continue the case at this time for a docket call hearing to August 17th, 2023 at 10 a.m. in courtroom number 22. Bond, Mr. Turner.
Your Honor, the bond that we are requesting is $250,000, 10%. We're asking for conditions of no contact with the victims or anyone under 18 years old, and that the defendant be ordered not to use or possess an electronic device capable of accessing the internet. The basis of the request is that he does pose a flight risk due to the serious nature of the offenses and the potential penalties. We also believe that release could jeopardize the safety of victims and prevent the identification of additional victims and collection of further evidence. Asking the court to consider the information within the probable cause affidavit. The allegation is that the defendant forged birth, medical, and education records to create a false identity to enroll himself in high school. He then began relationships with a number of children, some of them where he communicated through text messages and other social media apps in attempts to coax them into sexual acts or to produce sexually explicit material. Following his arrest yesterday, Lincoln Police did ask the community to contact their non-emergency phone number with any information that may help identify other witnesses or potential victims. And the police department did immediately begin receiving additional tips, and the investigation is ongoing.
Right, can you post $250,000 bond, Mr. Scheich? All right, well, I've considered the allegations set forth in the probable cause affidavit in light of the fact that this involves minor children and fraud being involved. I am going to set the bond as requested by the state at this time at $250,000, 10%, $25,000 will have to be posted in order for you to bond out. Additional conditions on that bond are that you have no contact with the minor children having the initials. Or any child under the age of 18. I'm also going to order as an additional condition on the bond is that you do not use or possess any electronic device that provides you internet access.
Currently, police are trying to figure out the extent of the damage that this man caused. The school's already alerted the families of the victims, and they're trying their best to fix the situation at hand. But I'm just shocked at the fact that there was no preventative measures in place to prevent this in the first place. Like, all you needed to do was verify the documents, but you didn't go through that process. Why? It's not that difficult. I'm sure you could have called up the offices and ensured that the records of immunization were at least correct, or that these health records traced back to a true health record. And the sad part is this isn't even the first time this has happened, and this is something that, to my shock, is not that uncommon. The only beneficial thing to take away from this story is that the school districts involved are going to reevaluate their process on how students are admitted into the system, which thankfully that is happening because clearly it needs to happen. Charges this man is facing range from sexual assault to sex trafficking of a minor. When he first went into court, he did not have anybody to represent himself, which, to be honest, good. You don't deserve that. Anybody who's targeting minors deserves the worst possible sentencing. I'm really glad that there's no way this is going to be swept under the rug and that he definitely is going to be convicted, because there is proof. He allegedly admitted to this, and I just hope that he really gets what he deserves in prison, that the people in there are going to enjoy his twinkish boy body and destroy him for the fact that he, tried to assault minors. It's crazy to me. It's something that I'm surprised isn't really getting more attention than it is. I think that crimes against a minor are of the worst, and the only thing worse than crimes against a minor are sexual crimes against a minor. So this man really does deserve the full extent of the law and even beyond that. Yeah, so who would have thought that it would have been really easy just to go back to high school if you wanted to do that? The only way to stop things like this from happening again is to set proper examples. That's it. I don't think this man deserves the death sentence. I think he actually deserves to just suffer for the rest of his life, as he is nothing but a pathetic little loser.